Hi everyone, welcome to KSR Datavision YouTube channel. In this video, we will go through few Tableau interview related questions which you might encounter during your interview. Okay, so first question is how many different Tableau products are there? Now we'll start with the Tableau desktop. So as the name suggests, it is the desktop version of Tableau. Now this is the key product which all the Tableau developers use on their machines to create interactive dashboards for guided analytics and stories for their clients or business users. It can also publish to a server or online environment so the rest of the organization can leverage your work, right? And it is a paid software. Then you have Tableau Prep, and it refers to two products. One is Prep Builder to help you build data flows, and second is Prep Conductor to schedule, monitor, and manage flows across the organization. Now, Prep's main purpose is an ETL tool, that is extract, transform, and load, to get the data ready for analysis. It allows you to visually combine data from multiple data sources. Moreover, you can clean data and publish data sources to server as a single source of truth for your organization. Prep Builder is locally installed, while Prep Conductor is browser based. Okay. Then we have Tableau Server and Online. So you can share and collaborate with your organization with Tableau Server and Tableau Online by hosting workbooks, data sources, prep flows, and data extracts published through Tableau Prep or desktop. See. Now Tableau Server Online can send data alerts when certain conditions are met. Like if you have set a condition that when your revenue reaches new record high, Tableau Server Online will send you a data alert basis the condition which you would have set. So that is something really commendable feature to track your KPIs. You can set data alerts. Then comes the Tableau Reader. Now Tableau Reader is a free desktop application that you can use to open and interact with data visualizations built in Tableau desktop. So you can filter, drill down, and discover, but you cannot make any changes to the dashboard or download the underlying data. So Tableau Reader does not have security features required for many organizations. Therefore, use in the enterprise setting is unlikely. Then we have Tableau Public, which is a free software and it allows you to share data with the world. So instead of exploring a workbook and sending it, you will publish it to a Tableau public site, that is Tableau's free cloud service. Now the published data is static and there are no automated data refreshes. The published workbook or dashboard is available to everyone that has access to the URL. So it is not the right product if your data is sensitive and requires security policy. Now, typically the use case for public includes sharing content with the world. For example, media or government entities that want to show COVID-19 information with all of the world. So there we can use Tableau Public as data is not sensitive and can be readily shared with anyone on the internet. Okay. Then the last one is Tableau Mobile, which is a free mobile app for accessing Tableau Server and Tableau Online on your mobile devices. Making it easy to keep a pulse on your data from wherever you are and whenever you need it. While it is free, but mobile requires a Tableau license in order to use it. Tableau Mobile will automatically cache your favorite views and dashboards for offline viewing. So basically, you should know what each of these products are and how you can use them in your day-to-day job role. And most of the times you would be using only Tableau Desktop and Tableau Server, and in few cases Tableau Mobile. The next question is what are dimensions and measures? So when you connect to a new data source, what Tableau does is it assigns each field in the data source as a dimension or a measure in the data pane. So if you see on the left hand side, you have this data pane and Tableau categorizes the fields as dimension or measure, depending on the type of data the field contains. Now, dimensions contain qualitative values, which could be like names or dates or geographical data, right? You can use dimensions to categorize, segment, and reveal the details in your data. And dimensions basically affect the level of detail in the view. So if you were to see here, if you add any region in your visualization, basically it will affect the detail in the view, right? And it will be qualitative, because let's say region, if you have like north, east, west, south, so it's giving you qualitative value, right? It's not quantitative, and it's categorizing or segmenting the data as east, west, north, and south, right? So that's what dimensions are. And other thing is measures. So measures contain numeric, quantitative values that you can measure, right? And measures can be easily aggregated. Now, if you drag a measure into the view, Tableau will apply an aggregation to that measure by default. So let's say if you drag sales in the Tableau, it will sum the sales by default. So sum is the aggregation which Tableau will apply on the measure sales. So let me show you a quick demo in Tableau. Here on the left hand side, you will see that in the blue color, we have all the dimensions being listed. So Tableau by default categorize these fields as dimensions in blue color. And here you see a very fainted line here, right? This is a line which separates dimensions from the measures. Here we have measures at the bottom, which can be aggregated. So let's say if I add sales over here in Tableau, now you will see that Tableau has by default aggregated the sales measure by using the sum function. Similarly, if I drag profit here, again it has applied an aggregation. If I drag discount, it has applied a aggregation. And when I drag, let's say, region over here, you will see that it has basically segmented the data. Now these measures are being segmented by region. So it is a qualitative field. So that's how dimension behaved, right? So you should be able to articulate clearly what are dimensions. Basically, dimensions are nothing but qualitative values. You can categorize your data. You can change the level of detail in the view, right? And coming on to measures, you can tell the interviewer that measures are nothing but quantitative values that you can measure, and they can be aggregated. You can drag a measure to view, and the aggregation is applied by default. So next question is, what are blue and green pills in Tableau? Now Tableau represents data differently in the view depending on whether the field is discrete. And now discrete, normally it will show you in blue in color, right? Or a continuous, which would be green in color. Now continuous and discrete are nothing but mathematical terms. And as the name implies, continuous means forming an unbroken whole without interruption. So it will go on and on, right? But when you say discrete, it means individually separate and distinct. Okay. And one bonus thing, whenever you see a red pill as highlighted here, the interviewer might ask you that I'm seeing few red pills in my visualization. What does that mean? Then you have to basically answer that it means that there is some error regards to that pill, that calculation. It could be a calculated field, or it could be because you might have changed a table calculation, or because it might be due to a change in data source, right? So there are few possible combinations and possibilities due to which you might get a red pill denoting an error and requiring your attention to correct it. Now going ahead with the green and blue pills. So green could be measure as well as dimension, but they are continuous. So let's say green measure, it could be like sum of profit. And if you have to say a green dimension, then it could be a date field, but it will be continuous in nature. Now continuous fields are treated as an infinite range, and generally continuous fields add access to the view. Let's say I bring sales over here. Now you see that this is sum of sales, this is measure, this is continuous in nature, right? This is green pill. Green pills are continuous in nature, right? And this is a measure because it's being aggregated here, right? And here you see that I got an axis over here, an axis. So always remember that your continuous field will have access to the view. So this is a continuous measure and which has an axis over here. And blue measures or dimensions. Okay, so blue measures could be sum of profit, but in blue in color. Or if it's a dimension like product name or a segment name or something like region, they are all discrete. So discrete values are treated as finite. So they add headers to the view because they are finite. They will always add headers to the view. Now let's say I take it out this and bring in region over here. Now you will see that region has been added as an header over here, and it has values listed here which will basically segment the data. Now if I bring in, let's say, profit over here, what it has done is it has segmented the entire profit by the values within the region dimension. Now this blue dimension, okay, this has just segmented my data. So this is discrete field currently. If you see here, this is discrete. Now you would question, my sum of profit is still continuous. Sometimes, let's say I can bring it here and I can make it discrete by checking this option. Now you will see that I have this measure also as discrete over here. It's not infinite now. Okay, so that's how you can convert a measure also to discrete. So that's where blue measures and dimensions are discrete. So don't get confused. Okay, always remember that blue is basically discrete and green is continuous. And now green could be a measure or dimension. Blue can also be a measure or dimension. But generally, maximum times we will use green as a measure and blue as a dimension most of the times. But there could be few times when you will use green dimension also, mostly in date time, where you have, let's say, order date here. So let me bring in order date. Now by default, Tableau generates this year date as discrete, but I can convert it to continuous. The moment you do this, you'll see that it has converted to green in color. So green pills are always continuous. Just remember that. And date is one field which you can use as a continuous field or you can use as a discrete field. As per the selection, your view will change. Okay. Now, how can we disaggregate data in Tableau? Now, whenever you add a measure to your view, an aggregation is applied to that measure by default. Now, this default is controlled by the aggregate measure settings in the analysis menu. And if you decide like you want to see all of the marks in the view at the most detailed level of granularity, you can just simply disaggregate the view. So to do that, just go to analysis and then within the aggregate measures option, you will have to deselect, right? I'll just show you in Tableau. Let's say I have sales here, okay, and then profit here, okay. Now you will see one dot because it's being aggregated, right? I want to disaggregate it. Now here in the analysis tab, you have this aggregate measures being checked over here. I will uncheck it. And now you will see that each and every row in this data source is being plotted, right? So I have done what? I have disaggregated my data. Okay, each point represents one record. So this way we can disaggregate data. Sometimes we are required to see data as an individual record. That time you can use this feature, and maybe you want to explore the scatter plot of different measures to see how each record corresponds. But that depends on the granularity of the data. Because here my one record corresponds to one order, I can easily see how my each of the orders corresponds in relation to profit versus sales. So it all depends on the granularity or the record level in your data set. So you should know what each record or row of the data represents for your data set. Only then decide whether you want to go with the disaggregate data or not. Okay. And again, I can just check this and it will convert to aggregated measures. Then this is very favorite question of interviewers. What is the difference between row level calculation and aggregate calculation? Row level calculation is calculated for each row in the data. Just remember that. And row level results are then aggregated just like normal fields. So if you have written a calculation, let's say quantity into price. So this is my rows in the data set. Okay. Now I've written quantity into price. What it will do is quantity into price, it will do row by row. That's how a row level calculation is done. So 2 into 10, like 20. Similarly, this gives you 400, 2 into 150, 300 likewise. For all the rows, it performs row level calculation. Okay. And then let's say if you want to visualize your data at the level of detail, then Tableau will aggregate the data. Now, level of detail of your visualization is nothing but the level represented by the marks on your Tableau canvas, and which basically comes from the dimensions which are being utilized in your view. Okay, so let's say if your marks are bars that represent months, then level of detail at which Tableau has to aggregate the data is the month, because in your visualization you have months as a level of detail. So all the measures will get aggregated at the month level. Okay. So let's see how you want to visualize revenue at the month level. Now here, if you see at the month level, if you have to visualize the aggregation, then this all revenue should be aggregated, right, per month, right? So we can write just sum of revenue. Okay. When you write sum of revenue, it means that it is gonna aggregate the revenue measure by applying a sum function, right? So let me show you. Now, this is how we are gonna picturize that at monthly level we want to aggregate the data. So here for Jan month, what it will do, this was row level calculation. Then we'll aggregate all the revenue for this month. So just add like 20 plus 400 plus 300 plus 4, and it will give you 724 over here. Likewise, for Feb month also, it's gonna aggregate the revenue. But this is only because we are using the aggregated method over here, sum. And in the row level calculation, we did not use any aggregated function over here. We just simply wrote the field quantity into price field, right? There was no aggregated method over here. Now let's say interviewer asks, I want to display the running total of sales as percentage of total sales. How can we do this? So first option is, first you will have to create the running total of sales. So let me go to Tableau. Let's say I have order date here, and let me convert it to continuous, and then I want sales. Let's say here I want it as bars. Then what I'll do is I'll apply the quick table calculation as running total. Okay. Now you can see that it is giving me running total. Now the interviewer wants that I want to display it as a percent of total also. Okay, of the running total. So then you have to apply a secondary calculation. So when you right click on this and go to edit table calculation, you will see that this is the first calculation, that is sum of running total. Now you see here checkbox called as add secondary calculation. When you check this, it will give you secondary calculation type. What you want to do once you have got the running total. You can say that I want to calculate percent of total, right? Percent of total on this running total. Once you do that, you will see that your labels have been converted to percent of total. So now you can see that till which bar how much percentage has been covered, right? Like here in October 2020, it covers like 60% of your total sales till here, right? So that's how you can add the running total of sales as percentage of total sales. You have to use the secondary calculation option. Now, last question of this video is, what is the difference between live and extracts? So understand that live data connections are nothing but as a live connection to the underlying data source. So live connection could be to a DB2 data source or a Hadoop data source or AWS, right? It could be any live data source. And this is the most secure option because one, you are not creating any copies of your data source. And if you are not creating any data source copies, you are not sharing them outside your system, right? You are simply querying the data source itself where it's being hosted. But the drawback to this option is performance related. Now, since you are querying live, response time will always depend on factors like size of the data source or what's the hardware type or how many users are sharing those resources, right? And since it's live, there could be some downtime, right? And because of that, your Tableau dashboards can also experience downtime. Okay. And when it comes to extracts, they are nothing but snapshots of the data by using Tableau's own hyper data engine. So when you create extracts, they are optimized for Tableau. Okay, and mostly it will perform faster than a live data connection. The best part of extract is that since it's a snapshot of the data, so it will never go down unless your Tableau server itself goes down, right? So your dashboards will always load. They will not be dependent on the live data source. And second thing is that it will load faster than the live connection. Okay. But again, the drawbacks are that this option is less secure because you can create copies of your data source and which can be shared among other users, maybe outside company servers as well, right? So that is something to be taken care of. And on the extract part, you will always have to refresh the extract depending on the frequency you require as per the business requirement. It could be a weekly or monthly or fortnightly. Again, depends on the use case or the business users. So you should be able to explain these concepts to the interviewer. So these are just few questions which you might encounter in Tableau interviews. We will come with more and more questions in subsequent videos. The most important thing in an interview is that you should be pretty confident on the concept, as well as your confidence should be visible while you are explaining a concept to the interviewer. Because in the end, what they want to analyze from you is that how much do you know about a concept? Given a project to you, how will you be able to apply a concept to that project, right? The objective is to test your practical knowledge. If you have really worked in Tableau, you can highlight those use cases. Okay, while explaining a concept, you can just add a use case to that concept from your project work. That will really give confidence to the interviewer that you have done work in Tableau, right? So with that thing, I'll take a leave here and I hope you like this video. Do like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.